Guys, welcome to the ElkShape YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to show you how I built the world's most expensive arrow. It is a 4mm arrow. I did everything in my power to make it absolutely perfect. Is this reasonable? Is this feasible? Should you try this, or is this a complete waste of time? Here we go. I decided to order some Easton Pro comps. These are like the world's straightest arrows. These are where target archery collides with hunting. So it is a hunting arrow and it is 4mm. Historically speaking, I haven't been a huge fan of 4mm arrows because I feel like the componentry always lets you down. They're very susceptible for damage. They do penetrate a little bit more theoretically, and they do fight off wind drift theoretically. And so I wanted to build the world's most perfect elk hunting arrow where expenses didn't matter. I was going to sell out and do this proper and do it once, buy once, cry once. Here we go. First thing I did was I cut it with a saw, and actually went over to Josh Jones's house and I had him cut them for me so I didn't screw it up. We used a Carbon Express saw. They're very cheap. They're on his website. Check them out. Once we did that, I went ahead and squared off the end that we cut. I didn't have to square off the factory end, but I did square off this end, the working end. Once I had them all cut and squared off, I wanted to put some nocks in and just look at them, pull the nocks out and put them in the ram tester. I wanted to test the spine of each one, and really you can test the tolerance and the straightness. I was looking to find the weakest spot in every arrow and mark it with a Sharpie. I thought this might save me some time in not having to bare shaft tune or broadhead tune, and honestly I'm still pretty torn on the ram tester. I don't think I know how to use it properly. The only thing I can say is I did find pretty much a consistent weakest spot in all the arrows and marked it just to have that as a point of reference for the rest of the build. From there, it's pretty cool componentry, and I wanted to do my best to hot melt. Hot melt is something that I've heard guys like Aaron Snyder and Iron Will Bill talk about doing, but I haven't had any reps with it, so it was kind of like, here's my first go. I have a heat gun, so I decided to talk to Iron Will Bill on my podcast, and he told me that he had found the best material for hot melt, and so I ordered theirs from Iron Will Outfitters. Then what I did is I ordered a 25 grain hit insert from Iron Will. They have the license from Easton's, and I believe their hit is made with just better tolerances, better materials. It's not just aluminum like the one that you can order from the Easton factory, and so I opted to go with the Iron Will on their hit system. I also wanted to run a single bevel, and I wanted to use the Snyder core to where that shank would go down inside the shaft. I also ordered an impact collar. They have options in 25 grain and 10 grain. I ordered the 10 grain titanium one. I ordered their fill points and their broadhead system, and I used hot melt to go ahead and put this all together. It was my first time using hot melt, like I said, and I was pleasantly surprised at how painless it was, and I really liked it because not only can I take components out, and I have shot these in the targets, by the way, and they're not coming out, they're holding great, but if you were to put an iron will broadhead on the end of your arrow and you want it to be completely flat or parallel to the ground to create more space for longer distance shots and not have any risk of it hitting your sight housing, you can heat it up or even reheat it up and kind of index your broadhead, which that's something I've not been able to do with other things. So that was really cool. And then obviously put it in boiling water and you can pull it out. So I can take fill points out and put the Snyder core system or the core system from Iron Will back in. Switching out broadheads and fill points is pretty painless. And it's no epoxy, nothing's permanent. I really like that process. All Pro comps come with that high modulus carbon and a super strong alloy core construction, which is going to allow for these arrows to be very straight, similar tolerances, and consistency. So you're going to get continuity through all your arrows, which is going to show up in your groups. All your Pro comp shafts come in a dozen, and they have plus or minus 1 for weight tolerance and 0.0015 straightness tolerance. This is a very straight, tried and true continuity arrow. This is a bougie arrow. This is not for everybody, but this is probably one of the best options out there. And it is made in the USA, which a lot of arrows cannot say. And I am not tied down to any strings attached for a sponsorship when it comes to arrows. So I am speaking freely on just my opinion, and Easton's a pretty dang reliable company. So once I built all the components and got everything hot melted in, I wanted to go in bare shaft tune. Now, historically speaking, I'm not a huge bare shafting kind of guy. I've always skipped to the end and just put broadheads on and tested them at several distances, including out to 80 yards. And that usually will tell me if I need to tune or turn a knock or what have you. But I wanted to bare shaft tune, so I did that. And I'm using a bare shaft. I'm shooting about 5 to 7 feet away from paper, and then I'm literally going off the weakest spine, and I'm just rotating the knock 1/8 of a turn each shot until I get a bullet hole. And obviously you can't torque your bow or have a bad shot. They all got to be very robotic shots for this to show up. And I was able to basically bare shaft these through just paper to get close. Obviously I'm still going to test with broadheads at longer distances and do some final tuning of the knock to make sure we're getting consistent groups and consistent behavior out of my bow. Once we did the bare shaft, I used the Arizona Easy Mini Max helical to the left, my single bevels to the left, and I'm running these AAE hybrid HPs. They're similar to a Blazer. That gives you a pretty aggressive helical. I'm using the IP4 from AEE as well. And when it's all said and done, I'm very happy with this arrow build. And this is going to be a candidate to end up in my quiver for elk season in 2023. And I do have another bow build I'm going to do where I'm going to use these arrows in that bow build. And I think this is going to be awesome. Let me break down how much this arrow costs part by part. From the end of the nock to the point right here is 26.25 inches. My draw length's at 27, so it's cut pretty dang short, which makes it stiff, which helps bolster the FOC. Speaking of FOC, we're looking at 16.6% front of center, which is definitely in the sweet spot in my opinion. Let's break down tip to end. So we're looking at an IP4 knock, 83 cents per. 3 AEE hybrid ElkShape edition HPs. We're looking at 90 cents for the 3 vanes. I used the Arizona Easy Mini Max jig, which saves you time and puts a hell of a helical. I like a helical and it matches my bevel, which is to the left. Is that necessary? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna err on the side of saying maybe and probably. So I'm gonna do that. No wrap. The actual shaft is about $24.75 per shaft. That's incredible. They're pretty proud of it, but also it's got a lot of things to it. In the front end, we're looking at a collar that breaks down to about $5.80 per. It is titanium. It is the 10 grain option from Iron Will Outfitters. The hidden insert that Iron Will licensed from Easton, it's about $4.16 per. and it fits. You screw it into the Snyder core as you guys saw, and you put it in there. And we obviously hot melted. The Snyder core system is a pretty penny. It's going to end up being about $44 per broadhead. That includes the shank that screws into the hip. So when you add all that up, we're looking at literally about $80 an arrow. Do you think I would take this to tack? Hell no. Total arrow weight, 433 grains. That's not super light. That's definitely not heavy. I like that sweet spot for my draw length, my poundage, and what I'm looking to do. I feel like that's really good. In conclusion, can I actually shoot good enough to notice the difference in this tolerance and straightness? I don't know. I'm pretty average at archery, and I got to work pretty dang hard to be just average, but I want to do everything in my power to pursue perfection. That's where ABT comes from. Always be tinkering means always pursuing perfection when it cannot be perfected. That's archery, y'all. Is this worth it? I'll leave that to be up to you. I don't know if I can shoot good enough to see the differences, but I do know this could potentially penetrate better. This could potentially fight off wind drift. This could tighten up my groups, especially with a fixed broadhead, with those spine tolerances, spine consistency, continuity across all of that, and the way that it's built. I've been wanting to do an arrow build like this for a long time. I feel like I finally found the sweet spot for a 4mm. Oh, it's just an expensive sweet spot. So if you're on a budget, maybe look at the RIP TKOs, proven to be successful for me in the past. But also, if you have a little bit more of a budget and you're sold on 4mm, this might be the route to go. Shout out to Easton, made in the USA. Shout out to my friend Iron Will Bill over at Iron Will Outfitters. They do make amazing products. And shout out to you all for watching and being interested in this arrow tinkering geek out session. We got a few more to do with coming up. I can't wait to show you guys those, some other systems, including Valkyrie. So tap the sub if you're into this ABT. Again, ABT is pursuing perfection where it cannot be perfected. We love y'all. Catch you on the next one.